She stood in my driveway, yelling like she owned the world. "You can't park this here, my son needs the truck." Her voice was sharp enough to make the neighbor's dog bark. I froze for a second, holding my coffee cup midair, trying to understand what kind of madness I was looking at. My truck was parked right where it had always been, on my property. "Ma'am, this is my driveway," I said calmly, but she just smirked, waving a fake-looking paper like it was some royal decree. "This neighborhood has HOA rules. You violated them. I'm having this towed." She slapped the paper on my windshield, then pointed toward her teenage son waiting at the curb. "He needs a vehicle for school. You can buy another one." For a second, I thought it was some kind of prank. But then she pulled out her phone, dialing someone fast. "Yeah, get the cops here. We have a stolen vehicle situation," she said, eyes locked on me like she'd just won. My stomach tightened, not from fear, but from disbelief. 2 minutes later, a tow truck rolled in, like they'd been waiting around the corner. My heart started racing. I stepped closer. "Don't you touch that truck. You're on private property," I said firmly. The tow driver hesitated, looking confused, but Karen snapped, "He's lying. I'm HOA president. I have the authority." The crowd started forming, neighbors peeking out, whispering. I could feel the heat of embarrassment building up. She was putting on a show, and I was her villain. The tow guy started hooking the chain. That's when I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone, and said quietly, "You're making a mistake you won't forget." Karen laughed. "What are you gonna do? Call your lawyer?" She mocked, flipping her hair. I smiled slightly. "No," I said. "I already did." Her grin faded for just a second when she saw the contact name on my screen, State Attorney, Carter. And as the call connected and a deep voice said, "I'm on my way," the entire street went silent. Viral line. She thought she could steal my truck, until she found out who really owned the law. Karen blinked when she heard the voice on the other end of my phone. "Wait, the state attorney," she stammered, her fake confidence flickering like a bad light. But she quickly put her hands on her hips again. "You're bluffing. I've lived here for 10 years. I know everyone in this town," she shouted, her tone trembling just slightly. The tow driver looked between us, clearly unsure if he should continue. I could see the guilt forming on his face. "Ma'am, if this is private property, I can't do it," Karen snapped, stepping forward. "You'll get paid double. He's lying. This truck doesn't belong to him." That's when the police cruiser turned the corner. She grinned again, triumphant. "Perfect timing," she said, waving at the officers like she had called in a favor. "Officers, this man stole a vehicle that doesn't belong to him. He's trespassing." The officers approached, one of them resting his hand on his belt. "Sir, can we see some ID and registration for the vehicle?" "Sure," I said, calm as ever. I opened the glove box, handed it over, and watched as they examined the papers, my name printed clearly under owner. The silence that followed was sharp. Karen stepped in quickly, trying to recover. "That can't be right. He forged it. My son was promised the truck by the previous owner." One of the officers raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, this title was issued 6 months ago. Everything's legal." Karen's voice started to crack. "You don't understand, this man moved in and started breaking HOA rules." I interrupted softly, "There isn't an HOA here anymore. It was dissolved 2 years ago. I have the letter from the county." Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. For a moment, the whole scene froze, neighbors staring, cops waiting, her son fidgeting awkwardly behind her. Then my phone buzzed again. I picked it up on speaker. "Mr. Bennett," said Carter's deep voice, "I just spoke to the precinct. Don't let them leave. We're about to file a criminal complaint for property interference and false report." Karen's eyes widened. "Criminal, what?" she whispered, stepping back. I looked at her calmly. "You wanted the cops here. Now they're here for you." Viral line. She called the police to arrest me, and ended up calling them on herself. Karen's face turned pale, like the ground had just slipped from under her. "This is insane. You can't arrest me. I'm a respected community member," she yelled, her voice shaking now, no trace of that earlier arrogance. One of the officers gently raised his hand. "Ma'am, we're not arresting anyone yet. But filing a false police report is a serious offense. We'll need to take a statement." Her son, embarrassed and red-faced, whispered, "Mom, let's just go, but she jerked his arm away. No. He's manipulating everyone. Look at him, acting innocent. You think people like him just get attorneys on speed dial? That line made everyone pause. The officer frowned. People like him, he asked quietly. The crowd murmured. I didn't say a word, I didn't have to. Her mask was cracking on its own. I leaned against the truck door, speaking softly but clear enough for everyone to hear. Karen, you don't even know who you're messing with. You thought this was just about a truck. I took a slow breath. But what you didn't know is, this property, this land, was part of a state redevelopment case. I'm working with the attorney's office. That's why he's on my contact list. Her eyes darted to the officers, searching for some kind of support, but all she found were blank stares. He's lying, she screamed again, but her voice broke halfway. Just then, another black SUV rolled up. Out stepped a man in a gray suit, tall, serious, Carter himself. The state attorney. Everyone froze. Even the cops straightened up. He walked past Karen without a glance and stopped right in front of me. Mr. Bennett, he said, nodding. You did the right thing calling me. We've had reports of this woman harassing other residents. Karen's jaw dropped. That's not true. They're framing me. Carter turned to the officers. You'll find multiple false HOA notices filed under her name. We've been tracking it for weeks. You could have heard a pin drop. The crowd was dead silent. Karen looked around, desperate for someone to defend her, but every neighbor she once bossed around looked away. And then Carter turned to her slowly. Ma'am, he said, you have the right to remain silent. She stepped back, trembling. You're making a huge mistake, she whispered, her voice barely holding together. I smiled slightly. You made that mistake the moment you tried stealing from the wrong person. Viral line. She thought she was above the law, until the law showed up wearing my number on speed dial. Karen's scream echoed through the street as the officers moved closer. You can't do this to me. I run this neighborhood, she shouted, but her words carried no power anymore. Her son stood frozen, tears in his eyes, watching his mother crumble in front of everyone. Carter kept his tone steady and professional. Ma'am, you've been warned before about impersonating HOA authority. Today, you crossed into criminal territory. Her voice broke. I was just trying to protect the community. Carter shook his head. By forging legal notices. By calling in false reports. By trying to steal someone's property. Every question hit her like a punch. I could see it in her eyes, the realization that she had no escape. This time, one officer gently took her arm to lead her toward the cruiser. She tried to twist away, her voice shaky. You'll regret this. Everyone here will. I stepped forward, my voice calm but cold. We already did, Karen. For years. The crowd started whispering again. A few neighbors nodded, faces that once looked afraid of her now showed quiet satisfaction. One woman muttered, finally. Another man clapped once, slow and deliberate. Carter turned to me. We'll handle it from here. I'll make sure your truck and property are protected. You shouldn't have to live under fear in your own neighborhood. I nodded. I appreciate that, sir. As they put Karen in the back seat, her son tried to follow, but she turned to him through the open door. Go home, Eric, she said quietly, her voice cracking for the first time. Just go. The door shut. The police car rolled away, the flashing lights reflecting off my truck's chrome like a final curtain closing. The tow driver came over, rubbing the back of his neck. Man, I didn't know. She said she was HOA president. It's fine, I said, offering a faint smile. Next time, just ask for proof before you hook up someone's truck. He nodded, embarrassed. Will do. The neighbors slowly drifted back to their homes, whispering the story already, how the woman who bullied everyone finally got caught by her own lies. I stood there for a moment, breathing out the tension. Carter looked back at me before leaving. You did the right thing not losing your temper. Most people would've. I smiled faintly. I don't have to fight anymore, when the truth does it for me. Viral line. She built her power on fear, but forgot, real power stands quiet and waits. The next morning, the street was quiet, the kind of quiet that only comes after a storm. I walked out with a cup of coffee, the air still heavy with yesterday's memories. My truck sat right where it belonged, untouched, the fake HOA notice still lying crumpled in the gutter. For the first time in months, the neighborhood felt free. A few neighbors waved at me, hesitant but grateful. The woman from 2 houses down, the one Karen once fined for having too many plants, smiled softly. "Thank you," she said. No one ever stood up to her before. I nodded. No one should have to live scared on their own property. Later that day, Carter called. His tone was lighter now. "It's official. She's facing charges for false reporting, trespassing, and impersonating an HOA officer. It's over." I looked out across my yard, the sunlight glinting off the truck hood. "You know," I said quietly, "I wasn't even angry about the truck. It was the way she treated people, like she was untouchable." He paused for a moment. "People like that always think they're above the law, until they run into someone who remembers why laws exist." After we hung up, I sat on the porch for a while, watching Karen's house, now silent, empty, the blinds drawn. Her son had moved out early that morning. A "for sale" sign leaned against the mailbox. It hit me then, how power built on fear never lasts. You can fake authority, fake titles, fake control, but you can't fake integrity. That's the one thing that never bends, no matter how loud someone yells. I leaned back in my chair, took a slow sip of coffee, and smiled. "She called the cops to steal a truck," I whispered, "and lost everything instead." The wind moved through the trees like a sigh of relief. The neighborhood had peace again. Viral line: "She tried to take my truck, but all she really stole was her own freedom." End of story.